Now, I've got this set to 9:24 a.m. This is going to kick off in a few seconds right now once it hits this little 9:30 timer right here. And we will go ahead and see how it all shook out in the morning, okay? And we're first going to look at this 2-minute chart, but I'm going to pause it and then go right back over to the 5 minutes so you guys can have full context of how this all played out, okay? Thanks everyone for joining today, and sorry for being late. We had a little storm blowing past us, and we didn't want to put our systems at risk, so we shut down until the storm was clear. So now the storm is cleared, we're back in action. All right, so first bar of the day right there. Okay guys, you know we don't trade the first bar of the day, but again, or even the first 15 minutes, but for the sake of this presentation today, I am going to go ahead and pause it and kind of bring my 5-minute chart today and show you guys exactly what was happening right here. 5-minute chart right here, guys, on this first bar is not really giving you a lot of clue as to what's happening in the market right now. The only thing you see is this bar right here. So we still don't have enough data right there to really make a good decision as far as which way price is moving. But we do already see data forming on the 2-minute as to where price is likely to move. You've got cycle going up. Okay, right there, guys. Let me just go ahead and pause it, all right? This is a setup to go long right there. Cycle is going up. You had a pivot right here with momentum to the upside, okay? You had PureMO right here telling you that momentum was about to pop. But, okay, stop it there for a second. Let's pull this bad boy in right here. Do we have any confirmation here on the 5-minute chart of anything happening that would give you confidence to take this trade to the upside? Okay, there's nothing going on right here, all right? You're still on the first bar of the day. So let's just go ahead and play this first and see where momentum shifts. And here we go. Now we got bar number 2, all right? And here with bar number 2, we're noticing that momentum is quite elevated. Cycle came down. But look at here at what happened the prior day. Okay, and this is very important to kind of gain context on market structure, right? Never forget to look at the prior day's market action, okay? We had a really choppy sell-off to the downside right here. But if you notice, this was actually a little trend to the downside, albeit a bit choppy, okay? And we notice because you've got cycle number 1 right here, okay? Cycle number 1 began here, ended here, momentum sunk, okay? You see how momentum just came down? And cycle number 2 perfectly ended the cycle there, the end of the trend, right? Now remember, what follows cycles, guys? Okay? What follows trends? You got cycles. So you had a trend here, a little trend to the downside, and you had a cycle to the upside right here, okay? So if this is the cycle component of price, okay, then 2 potential things could happen. Either price continues to cycle or price goes into a trend, all right? So you can't yet tell right here what exactly is going to happen unless you actually get momentum in your favor to tell you that there's going to be a real shift in momentum happening right there, all right? So if you come back over here to your 2-minute chart, your 2-minute chart is already dialed in. This is already telling you, yeah, the move is going to take place already, but you don't yet have any confirmation on your 5-minute chart right here, okay? So let's go ahead and continue the playback so you guys can see exactly how this all shook out. Okay, and we're going to look at it from the perspective of the 5-minute chart first, and then we'll go ahead and look at it from the 2-minute perspective as well, okay? So second bar of the day, you're about 10 minutes into the trade, okay? And you're trying to get some clarity right here as to whether this bad boy here with momentum, the yellow line in CYMO, is going to come down or go up. So right there, guys, there you go. Third bar of the day, okay? So you're about 15 minutes into the trading action right there. And look at what happens right here on your 15-minute chart, okay? You got momentum telling you that, yes, price is going to go up. It just poked its head out of this gray box right here, all right? And you've got momentum rising right here too. Check this out, all right? You know, I just didn't draw these myself. This is the way it happens, okay? Now, because momentum is rising, okay, and cycle is almost hitting the bottom of this threshold, check this out. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this, guys. The moment that momentum shifts right here to the upside, the very moment that momentum shifts to the upside, cycle is about to hit the bottom right here. And can someone please tell me, all right, in the comments, okay, tell me in the comments what happens when cycle hits the bottom and momentum is rising and you've got a shift in momentum right here to the upside. Okay, just drop it in the comments right there and tell me, all right? And I will stop for a second and look, because in the process of doing these, guys, I want you guys to learn something, because that's really where the value is right there, okay? So you've got momentum rising, okay, cycle almost about to bottom out right here, okay? And you've got a shift in momentum to the upside. What could potentially happen at this point? Can someone take a guess and type it into the comment box right there? A breakout, exactly. Exactly, a breakout. J momentum nailed it again. Trend likely to happen. Exactly. We have a trend likely to happen. So now that you've got this setup right here, and you know you had a shift in momentum to the upside, you've got momentum rising and cycle almost hitting the bottom, and it's probably gonna do an about face and come up, right? Next thing we do, guys, is you look at your 2-minute chart right here, and this is where you're at on the 2-minute chart right here, okay? This here would probably make for a very good setup to the long side. Cycle is still up right there, so you've got the cyclic component about to end right there. So cycle number 1 began right there. Momentum is rising, okay? And so let's see how this shakes out. Okay, this would be your entry to the upside as well.
Order filled.
Right there, okay? So you park your entry right there to the upside. And this is exactly what you're looking for right here, guys, okay? You're looking for momentum to break up. And momentum actually crosses the 0.90% threshold right there. And now you absolutely know that you're in trend mode to the upside on the 2-minute time frame, okay? And if you're in trend mode to the upside on the 2-minute time frame, what is it that you're beginning to count? So I'm going to pause it real quick because I want you guys to actually look at this real fast with me, okay? So now that you know that momentum just went into trend mode right here, what's the first question that comes to mind, okay? What's the first thing that you ought to be looking at right here in your chart, okay? Where the first cycle started. That's right. Silent noise absolutely nailed it. Exactly. And J Momentum also got it right too. Awesome, guys. Thank you for paying attention. Really appreciate that. You look at where the first cycle started. So if this is where momentum began right here, your first cycle started right here. You got cycle number 1. It goes and it ends right there, okay? The very, very, very point where it ends, this is where momentum begins right there. So it ends there, momentum begins there, and it begins right there, okay? So begins and ends. These are 180-degree cycles, guys, okay? You know you're in a trend, okay? So what are the expectations, okay? What are the expectations? The expectations, guys, is that there's probably going to be a second cycle if this is really a strong trend to the upside, all right? So let's see if this plays out, all right? Now, here's something else that is important so that you guys don't get tripped out, okay? PureMO came all the way up here to its exhaustion zone right here. Let me just pause it for a second because this is important right here to give you guys context, okay? PureMO came all the way to the exhaustion point up here, okay? Would this be a potential exit, okay? The answer is no. And the reason why the answer is no, guys, is because you're at the bottom of the cycle turn. You're not even at the beginning or the middle of cycle number 2. Now, let's take a step back. Suppose that you were already in cycle number 2, and cycle number 2 was about halfway forming right here, and you saw this exhaustion point on your chart. Can someone tell me, would that be an exit point at that moment? Okay. So again, the question is, guys, if cycle is doing cycle number 2 right here, okay, check momentum first. And if it's still up, then no. You could potentially get a third cycle, okay? You could potentially get a third cycle. The safe exit would most likely be, yeah, you get out right there because you got exhaustion at the formation sometime in the middle of cycle number 2. So cycle number 2 is going right here, and you get one of these, okay? It'd probably be a safe exit to get out, okay? Because the third cycle, the blow off tops, only happen in about 35% of the cases, right? So, you know, if you saw exhaustion halfway during the second cycle formation right here, it'd probably be a good idea to jump off the trade at that moment and see whether or not cycle number 3 develops. Cycle number 3 normally isn't the strongest cycle, it's the blow off top. Yeah, but if you want to be a cowboy, then absolutely you could. That's right. All right, so let's go ahead and see how this plays out right here, because I went ahead and paused it for too long, and we'll go ahead and let it ride, okay? So now we have cycle number, well, we had cycle number 1 complete. Now we just have a rotation here to the upside. Let's see how this plays out, okay? So yeah, Johnny was absolutely right. That'd be the safe exit to take. All right, guys, and this is the beginning of cycle number 2 right here. Look at this. Right there. Really super nice cycle to the upside right there. And this bad boy is just rolling. Right here, we got very close to entering the exhaustion zone. It didn't get into the exhaustion zone right here at 9:56 in the morning. Kind of skirted it a little bit. But you can tell that cycle number 2 is already almost fading out right here, guys. Okay, it's almost wearing out. All right, so let's see where that ends. And there we go, guys.
Order filled.
That would probably be a good spot right there if you wanted to take that trade off at cycle number 2 right there, okay? Let me go ahead and put a little marker right there for you. Bango, right there. So you got cycle 1, cycle number 2, which just took it to the upside right there, which wasn't bad at all, okay? In a trend like this, if you wanted to kind of wait for the fade, which is the purple line right here, to touch the gray zone, you can do that. Let's see what happens if you would have waited until the purple line actually hits the fade, which is the gray box right here, okay? And that would have been right there, okay? Let me just go ahead and put a little arrow so you can see that, okay? Bingo, right there. All right, so let's see what happens after this point. Momentum is still elevated above 0 and up here in the 0.90% threshold, which is really nice to see. And now you've got momentum here in PureMO coming down into the gray box as well, okay? Look at what's happening, guys. This is really super interesting. Let me just pause it there for a sec, okay? And I'm going to pause it because I want to bring back the good old boy here, the 5-minute chart, okay? Now, notice what happened here on the 5-minute chart. We had PureMO right here, shift momentum, and everything just started going up right here, okay? And then you had cycle just rising, and you had this little turn right there that's not yet exactly complete right there, okay? But it is still turning nonetheless. That tells you there might be a little bit more meat in the bone on this trade. And let's see whether or not that plays out to be true. Okay, so check this out, guys. You got something else that's interesting here, okay? You've got momentum above zero right here, which is still strong, okay? But you also have cycle at the zero line, okay? What do you suppose is gonna happen given where PureMO is at right here at the bottom, okay? Right smack right here at the bottom with cycle right here at the zero line. Can somebody drop it in the comment box and tell me what do you suppose is gonna happen? You've got momentum pretty elevated right here. If you tell me it's really still high, okay, it's nowhere near the zero line. You've got momentum right here, smack daddy at the zero line. Prices will go up. Exactly. Prices will go up right there, okay? And even if you wanted to wait for confirmation right here for PureMO to actually pop its head above this gray zone, okay, you can, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Cycle number 3. That's right, Johnny. Cycle number 3, okay? Something that happens in about 35% of the cases.
Order filled.
That's your entry right there, okay? Take that bad boy to the upside right there, and here you go, okay? And let's see how cycle number 3 ends up playing out. Now keep in mind, guys, this is very important. Cycle number 3 is normally short-lived. It's the shortest lived cycle of any of the 3 cycles, okay? Cycle number 1 is generally your regular cycle. Cycle number 2 is regular. It's typically the strongest part of the trend component. Cycle 3 is normally the shortest piece of the cycle, okay? So here's something that you can do if you're trading cycle number 3, okay? So if you're in cycle number 3 and everything is looking good right there, okay? The moment that the purple line right here crosses below the yellow line, that might be a good point right there to try to consider to take that trade off if you wanted to, okay? No harm in doing that whatsoever, because it's cycle number 3, and cycle number 3 is typically short-lived, okay? So if I took that trade off right there, let's see exactly how this ends up playing out. Okay, you're almost at the end of cycle number 3. You have to remember that, guys. Cycle 3 is not a long cycle. That's your blow-off top, okay? And your blow-off top is not going to run as hard and heavy as your first 2 cycles, okay? So here's the end of cycle number 3 right there, okay? Now, after the 3rd cycle, another important note to make, okay? The market will typically reverse down on you right here. Very nice reversals like these are caught on the cyclic chart for any particular downside that you may want to catch, okay? Generally, after the 3rd cycle, you will get these reversals almost in, I'd say probably 90% of the cases that I've seen here on the chart, okay, which is pretty good. So if you were on your 2-minute cycle chart, you could have easily caught this reversal to the downside with no issue whatsoever right there, and you'll see it right there on your cycle chart to the downside. All right, guys? So.
Wow, did you see that? That's what you call precision.
That's right, guys. This is precision trading right here. All right? So, now let's be real. Some of you sat on the sidelines again. You saw the same charts. You heard the same stories. You watched the same wins roll in. And still said to yourself, maybe I'll sign up next week. Well, let me tell you something. Next week didn't catch the trade this morning. Next week didn't put profit in your pocket. And next week won't make you a better trader unless you actually take action. All right, guys? When you sign up and take the 7-day free trial, guys, you're getting CYMO Pro, which is this tool right here for rock solid market structure. PureMO for explosive momentum entries, and Scalp Mode for your cyclic plays on your 2-minute chart. You also get the dynamic VWAP up here for clarity when the market goes sideways and when it hits these pivot points right here as well. And yes, it's all yours free for 7 days. Zero cost, zero risk, and all edge, guys, okay? The link's in my bio. You guys just click that, sign up, and take it for a free spin for 7 days, all right? And take advantage of the free one-on-one sessions as well. This is where we get you dialed in to make sure that these bad boys are set up exactly as you're watching them, as you're seeing them right here on my chart, guys, okay? This is the whole reason we do this, because we want you guys to be successful, and we want you guys to make the very best use of these tools, okay? So this chart right here is going to be posted on our Discord for further analysis. If you guys want to download it, you guys can certainly download it right there as well. Okay, yeah, we definitely we have a whole bunch of information on how to use them, but we definitely guide you in making sure that you have your you got your arms around them. We're just not going to give you the tools and have you figure them out yourself, because there's a little bit of a learning curve. So that's the reason we do the one-on-ones with you, to make sure you're fully dialed in and ready to use these bad boys in a live market. Now, you're probably wondering what happened to that 5-minute chart that he was showing us right now. Well, let me bring that bad boy right here, okay? Check this out, guys, all right? This is what happened with the 5-minute chart. You had an explosive move to the upside right here with momentum, okay? And momentum actually ended up completely fading off right smack daddy right there. Look at this, okay? So you had a nice momentum swing all the way up right there. Look at that. Okay? Now that's...
Wow, did you see that? That's what you call precision.
Exactly. That's what you call precision trading right there, guys. And that's how the 5-minute chart played out. And this is how we used the 5-minute chart to time our entries to ensure that we were getting in on the right side of the trade in the market in the morning as soon as the bell rung. Okay, so there you go, guys. I'll put the 5-minute chart as well up on the Discord for you guys to see. Thanks, J Momentum. Appreciate the feedback. These indicators are the real deal. Thanks, Emma Barbie. You've been absolutely crushing it, girl, and I applaud your success. Okay. If any one of you guys are sitting there and you're a female and you think these indicators can't be used by a girl, I'll tell you, Samba Barbie is just, she's head and shoulders above any girl I've seen out there using trading tools. This girl is absolutely killing the market, and she's making full use of these tools in her own domain. So I'll go ahead and stop here, guys, to see if you guys have any comments.